What's up everybody, you're watching JoeBox TV, recapping all the fight action from this past weekend. And I say fight action, not just boxing action, because we had two big boxing cards and one UFC card. First, I want to start off with Vargas versus Dulorme. This was part of a big card live on DAZN. Heading in, I was expecting Jesse Vargas to win this fairly easily, about 9 rounds to 3, something like that. But it turned out to be a very, very close fight. Ultimately, a draw. I had it 113-113, as did two of the judges. There were 2 knockdowns in the midst of an excellent fight. Here's my analysis. In the first 2 or 3 rounds, I thought Thomas Dulorme did a very good job of negating Jesse Vargas' jab. Vargas excels when he's able to land that jab, but Dulorme was able to use a lot of upper body movement to avoid that jab. He also utilized some very effective counters, and he had a very unpredictable timing that was really throwing Vargas off. Round 4 is when Jesse Vargas was able to turn the fight around. He landed a nice right hand in round 4, I think it was. And from that point on, he started to take control in the middle rounds. In the first 3 rounds, he was just relying on the jab and he wasn't landing anything. It was actually when Vargas really started to let his hands go that he began to find success. However, Dulorme was still very much in the fight after having built an early lead, and he began to unleash a nice left hook that was landing very effectively for him. Heading into round 10, you get the feeling of an even fight. Then, suddenly, Jesse Vargas unleashes a vicious 1-2 that is just perfectly timed, lands right on the chin, and drops Dulorme. Dulorme was able to get up, not too badly hurt, but it was a critical moment in what was a very close fight. Then, round 11, Dulorme shifts the momentum himself. Dulorme seemed re-energized in round 11. He was back up on his toes, throwing his jab, and he started to land that left hook again. Then, in another crucial turning point, round 12, Dulorme cracks Vargas with the right hand, caught Vargas off balance. Vargas hit the canvas. So, at the end I had it 113-113. Very good, spirited fight. Close fight. Tell me in the comments below, how did you score it? Now in the co-feature we had Brooklyn heavyweight, undefeated Jarrell Miller going up against battle-tested veteran and Tomas Adamek. This was an unfortunate mismatch, and I've got to say, I've been a fan of Adamek. He started out as a light heavyweight contender, then won a world title at cruiserweight, did very well at cruiserweight, bit off a bit more than he could chew at heavyweight, but still managed to get some solid wins along the way. But at this point of his career, at 41 years old, I don't think he has anything left really. And you could tell from the beginning that Miller was going to be too much for him. Miller's youth and size were just too much. He actually outweighed Adamek by 90 pounds. And even though Adamek was letting his hands go and landing, you could tell it wasn't doing anything to Miller, who just kept coming forward. And it only took 2 rounds for Miller to make his mark. Second round TKO win for Jarrell Miller. And this is probably going to be the end for Adamek. He's had an excellent career. He's always showed to be a very tough guy. Granite chin. As for Jarrell Miller, I'd like to see him go up against either Luis Ortiz or Dillian Whyte. I just love those 2 style matchups. And maybe, just maybe as a wild card, I kind of like this idea. Even though Shannon Briggs is way past his prime. I kind of like the style matchup of Jarrell Miller versus Shannon Briggs. I mean, there would be so much trash talking, and it's two heavyweight fighters from Brooklyn. So you got the Brooklyn pride thing going on. If Shannon Briggs wanted to have one last big fight in his career, that would be one good fight, him against Jarrell Miller. But I think Miller beats him pretty easily. Probably beats Dillian White too. That's a kind of a 50-50 fight in my opinion. I don't think he beats Luis Ortiz. Tell me in the comments below, who would you like to see Miller face? Artur Beterbiev continued his unbeaten run against a gritty Callum Johnson, who is also undefeated, suffers the first loss of his career. Beterbiev's a power puncher, right? And Callum Johnson was just following him, and that was a big mistake in my opinion. He should have tried to maybe box from the outside, but again, maybe that's not his style. They actually traded knockdowns. I believe that was the first time in his career that Beterbiev's been dropped, but ultimately Beterbiev pulled through and came away with a stoppage victory. Here's a matchup that I would love to see. Artur Beterbiev against Anthony Yarde. I think that's just a terrific fight. Two big punchers. It has all the ingredients for a classic, I think. And also, Daniel Roman defended his title against Gavin McDonnell. Roman was able to grind McDonnell down en route to a 10th round stoppage victory. And I'd like to see him in against Isaac Dogboe. I'd favor Dogboe, but I think that's a great matchup. Now, let's talk about the big UFC fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. A lot of trash talk heading into this fight, and I think McGregor said some things that really lit a fire under Nurmagomedov. Now, this is a boxing channel, but I do follow UFC enough to know that these guys are two of the very best in the sport, and McGregor's the better striker, Nurmagomedov is the better grappler. After all, McGregor did go 10 rounds with Floyd Money Mayweather in his one fight in boxing, so he's clearly the better striker. And I personally thought that McGregor might pull it off, and that he might catch Nurmagomedov with one of those big left hands, but it didn't happen that way. Now what happened? First round, about 20 seconds in I think, Nurmagomedov lands a vicious overhand right just out of nowhere, lead right hand over the top, drops McGregor. He got right back up, but it was a very significant moment mentally, because Nurmagomedov showed, hey, I can strike too. But again, Nurmagomedov is the grappler. I mean, after all, this guy wrestles with bears. This guy is just phenomenal at grappling, and he was in control of the fight throughout most of the fight. When the fight took place in the center of the octagon, McGregor was able to have success with some nice shots, but overall just the strength of Nurmagomedov proved to be too much, and in round 4, ultimately, Nurmagomedov was able to choke out McGregor. He got McGregor to tap. Now, here's when the real crazy stuff happens. Afterwards, there was a huge riot at ringside, and immediately Nurmagomedov, after the fight is over, he jumps out of the octagon, over the fence, and tries to fight with one of the team members on McGregor's team, who was talking a lot of stuff before the fight as well. Now, obviously in a big event like this, emotions are running high, but I gotta say, this was pretty classless. I think both sides are a little bit guilty. McGregor took it a step too far. McGregor and his team took it a step too far in the pre-fight hype. And McGregor was ready to go out there as well. He was getting ready to jump over the fence too, so it remains to be seen whether or not Nurmagomedov is going to be stripped of his title. That's something that remains to be seen. Is Nurmagomedov going to be able to keep his title, or will he be stripped? But as of now, Nurmagomedov is still the UFC champion. And it was a terrific performance from Nurmagomedov that was somewhat spoiled by a crazy post-fight brawl. And it's gotta be quite a tough pill to swallow for McGregor as well. Being with as much pride as this guy has, this was his first loss in a title fight in the UFC. And we could definitely see a rematch. I'd like to see a rematch. But if we don't get a rematch, we could see Tony Ferguson, who looked very good on the undercard. We could see him fight Nurmagomedov. So many unsure things right now. Now, let's talk about Naoya Inoue with just an emphatic first round KO over Juan Carlos Payano. One big straight right hand. One big right hand. Payano is out cold. And this further cements Inouye's place as one of the best fighters in the sport. I mean, he's definitely the bantamweight king right now. And with a performance like this against Payano, who beat Anselmo Moreno, went 1-1 in 2 fights with Rashi Warren. He's a solid contender, top 5 contender probably, coming into this fight. And Inoue just smoked him, took him right out. I'd be interested to see whether or not Srisaket Rungvisai moves up to bantamweight and faces Inoue. That's 2 of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. But first things first, of course, he's got to get through the World Boxing Super Series, the bantamweight group. I'd also love to see him fight Zolani Teat of South Africa. I think that's a great style matchup. Tell me your thoughts on the whole fight weekend. What's on your mind right now? How did you score the Vargas Dulorme fight? Who should Darrell Miller fight next? Who should Beterbiev fight next? Do you want to see a rematch between McGregor and Nurmagomedov? So many questions. Until next time, Joe Box TV, out.